ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm back, this time with John. Sorry, we're a little bit late. We've just been on a call.
For an hour?
Yeah, discussing
Stuff.
This, mainly. Everton have been charged again by the Premier League, or referred. Referred.
Some journalists choose to use the word charge.
Yeah.
But we've been referred.
Referred.
It's generally the same thing.
For breaching PSR, or a reported breach, or a, what is it? What's the correct terminology, John?
An alleged
Alleged breach
of the PSR regulation.
which could still be argued, I guess, away.
Deja vu, isn't it?
It is deja vu. I've got an issue with it. My point here, this is where I stand, John, and you can tell me I'm right, wrong, whatever, right? The thing that I really struggle with is that we've already been found guilty, admitted guilt, whatever it is, admitted a breach, which resulted in us getting, in my opinion, a disproportionate
and
unjust point deduction, one that we'd never seen before. Within that period, or certainly 2 years of that period that we were found guilty or breach or whatever,
found guilty by the
Independent Commission, is included in this latest set with another year. Two-thirds of it. And I know you'll probably say, well, this is and that's fine, no problem with that. I'm just saying what my issue with it is.
Okay.
So we took a punishment already for 2 of these years, and now we're getting punished again for 2 of these years. When Everton really, and I'm saying this without knowing Everton's accounts, by the way.
None of us know.
But if Everton's accounts
for the last year, you mean?
For the last year, and even, you know what, even for one of those other years, John, are showing an improvement. As in, we know that a big years fell off of losses, don't we?
We do.
If they have started to improve, that should be evidence that the football club is trying to get its house in order. We know Everton in the last 5 years are third bottom for net spend. There's only Luton and Brighton who've spent less than Everton across that.
So it's not going on the pitch, is what you're saying.
So we're not just going blowing money.
If we're spending too much, it's not going on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. But in that time,
which is the sporting advantage we're claimed to have.
Exactly. And and that's where I'm at, right?
Thanks, Ned.
And my other position with this is, mate. And I'm not having a go at Nottingham Forest, because Forest are the other team that has been recommended or referred to. They have spent a lot of money and bought a lot of players.
They have.
Right? But they're trying to establish themselves and stay in the league. So these rules are nonsense, as far as I'm concerned. But the big thing for me, John, within this, and you can take me whether we should be getting punished for 2 years that have already been punished for. You can give me your opinion on that in a minute.
Happily.
The other thing is, one thing that we can't forget here is these rules are getting changed again at the end of the season. So next season, by all accounts, and what we've been told, Everton would be compliant. So this wouldn't even, whatever Everton have done, wouldn't be referred in either case. So it's a head scratcher for me. So John,
listen,
come on, explain.
Let's try. Yeah,
work back through all of those moaning points, John.
And the Premier League, if you're listening, you've heard this before, because you're making it up as you go along. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
For many a long year, gosh, how many years, I don't know. It was happily sitting in the handbook, wasn't it? This is what happens if you're naughty with regards to PSR, when they change the name, all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
But no one gets put on the naughty step. Soon as someone gets put on the naughty step, which was us, things start to go awry, don't they? Because they go, right, we're going to do you. You've been naughty. And we want a point deduction. And the maximum is 12.
Yeah.
We'd like it to be 10, please. Here's a way of figuring it out. Yeah? Making it up. You go along, number 1. In a witness
101.
Which has never been publicised. And if Masters felt that he was on solid ground, then he would have responded to Andy Burnham and he would have shared it with everybody. And he nor Alison Britton have shared anything. They're ignoring, the mayor of Manchester.
Gone full ostrich.
Yeah, they're hiding, right? So anyway, we get then hauled across a commission, right, into a commission. And part of our defence is, well, you told us stuff that was okay in December. In March, you told us it's not.
Yeah.
Example
Which is what happened.
number 2, make it up as you go along.
Yeah.
Right? The chair of the Independent Commission, who's a King's Counsel, a very, very good lawyer, says, don't you dare try and influence me with your own back of a fag packet algorithm for determining a points deduction. You know, making up as you go along, number 3, although it's really number 2 twice.
Yeah. You can be done for that, apparently.
And then he comes up with his own view, right, which is, and he rightly so, I think the case he was saying, it's not for me to determine what the rules are, so I'm not really going to tell you how I've calculated 10 points. But impartial observers, never mind Evertonians, might have concluded, well, it just happens to be the same number that the other guy said. They then get battered by clubs who got relegated, none of whom have chose to sue Everton like they claimed twice that they were going to do, because they would never win.
Might it just be Mathew?
Yeah. Or maybe just Matt's imagination. Where is Matt? We're missing Matt, aren't we?
He'll be back soon.
He'll be back, yeah. Taking all too long about this, yeah? So during the season, they changed the rules, making up as you go along.
Yeah.
And they're the rules that have changed, right?
Yeah.
Which basically say you have to have all your accounts in by December, not March. Gives them more time to try and basically, in quotes, resolve issues mid-season or in-season.
Yeah.
But even their sunny day plan of how they're going to, if you like, charge Everton, charge Forest, not charge Chelsea. How's that work? But never mind, yeah? But even then they don't think, well, what happens if 2 clubs come along at the same time? What happens if you're already into an appeal process? Therefore, surely you can't, quote, do Forest or Everton until you've heard what the appeal result was for what you did Everton for before.
Yeah.
And so there's making up as you go along again, right? So from where I sit, and I don't know what you think, 2 things. One is, if you're doing these independent commissions based on the current rules, the way they stand, there's nothing in there, is there really, that says, let's do it simplistically, years 1, 2, and 3, say, that's a breach.
Yeah.
1 falls off, and then you have 2, 3, and 4. That's also a breach. 1 falls off, 3, 4, and 5. That could also be a breach. In other words, once you broke the rules once, the chances are you're going to stay on that treadmill for a while, unless somehow there's a mechanism, which currently doesn't exist, for saying, well, you can't be done twice for the same thing. Which is your point.
Yeah, that's
so
my
I'm bang
point,
on side with you, right?
Yeah.
I understand the way their rules are right now. You could actually send this case to a KC, and he will, or she, will do us based on the evidence, you know, either we do or we don't, and then could give us a point deduction up to a maximum of 12 again. Because, Now, the previous KC, Mr. Phillips, right, he used the EFL, didn't he, as a reference point, particularly Sheffield Wednesday. One assumes that these cases that are going to go through now, which are Nottingham Forest and ourselves, will use the Everton case as a reference, because there's now a PL example, isn't there? So what becomes critical for all concerned, and I can't, and I've tweeted it, I can't imagine Forest or Everton wanting to go anywhere near an independent commission until both of them know the outcome of Everton's appeal.
Yeah, because why would you?
So it ain't going to happen anytime soon, is it? Because, you know, we're trying to, and we spoke to multiple people today and yesterday, national journalists who seem to have contacts. We don't, our own contacts and all of the above. But it seems that our appeal, I mean, I do know from a shareholders association point of view, initial discussions around our appeal, you know, pre-trial discussions are supposed to take place in January. And I think not from the Shareholders Association, but generally from the best news we can get, the outcome of Everton's appeal is expected before the end of February.
Yeah.
So let's call it, for now, the end of February.
Yeah.
Well, the sunny day plan that the Premier League put together about how fast you go through this process now can't be done then for Forest and Everton, can they? Because if it is the end of February, then they're already late. And even if it's the middle of February, you still can't, you know what I mean? So they're just riding from one, you know, spot to the next without knowing where the next one is.
Well,
so
the driving blind.
And then driving blind, yeah. So the punchline of all that is they know this. They know this. They know it's a dog's dinner. They know it's a bit of a mess. So come August, they'll have rewritten the whole thing and got a brand spanking new replacement for it, which means right now only 3 clubs may ever get punished under the current rules, and 2 of them will be us, and the other one will be Forest. Meanwhile, Chelsea are sitting with their feet up on the desk thinking, whoa, we're all right.
We're all right, yeah.
Wolves, don't know what's happening at Wolves.
Well, they've scraped through, apparently.
And that's the point, and maybe that's just accounting practices have been accepted for them, that they've not been accepted for other clubs, whatever. But we also, we've got big, heavily funded Premier League clubs, be it Newcastle United, Manchester United, whoever, who are saying we can't do stuff because actually we've sought, Premier League might say, our primary objective of making an example of somebody to make them all step into line has worked.
Yeah.
But how does that enhance the Premier League brand? How does that make sure the best players in the world end up playing in this league? Blah, blah, blah. And they know all that because presumably the shareholders of the Premier League get some feedback from rights holders and what have you. And so they're going to change it. But they're still going to try and turn over Everton and Forest.
Well, I've got to state the club statement from Nottingham Forest.
Oh, that would be good, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen the Everton one, I've not seen Forest. Go for it, yeah.
Nottingham Forest acknowledges the statements from the Premier League confirming that the club is today being charged with a breach of the league's profitability and sustainability rules. The club intends to continue to cooperate fully with the Premier League on this matter and are confident of a speedy and fair resolution.
Cool.
We know Forest have been talking to the Premier League since October about getting this sorted. Wolves were doing the same. Clearly, Wolves have got a better accountant than Forest or whatever, and they've escaped with it. Listen, they are driving blind.
Yeah,
the
Premier League have put their statements out now as well.
The issue, well, you can read that in a minute.
Yeah.
The issue is, and it's a mad one, because if Everton are successful in their appeal and an independent commission goes, okay, yeah, we
agree with you.
We agree with that. The Premier League shouldn't have been allowing stuff at the start of a cycle for a stadium that was going to take a period of 3 years to build or 4 years to build, and halfway through that build start saying, no, actually, we're not letting you have that now.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, you'd let us have it in the first year, in the second year. Why can't we have it in the third year when it's still ongoing? That independent commission might find rule in Everton's favour. And if they do, then Everton get to change their PSR for the thing where they've allegedly breached.
That's right.
Which means that Everton would then not have breached.
Absolutely.
Which means now Everton wouldn't breach again.
Absolutely.
So this whole thing might mean that if it goes the way that a lot of people think it should do, I don't know whether it will. Yeah. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever. But if it did, if it went in Everton's favour,
that would benefit Forest.
Benefit Forest, but it would also mean that this thing where they've sensationalised this rule break, it's just noise and it's nothing. And we're changing anyway. And I must reiterate.
That last bit is crazy.
And I have to reiterate again, by the new rules, which is more like a UEFA model in August, Everton wouldn't have breached in either year. So there's no competitive advantage. Everton are building a football stadium, which is where most of the losses are coming from. It's clearly a drag on the business, how much they're having to pay.
We know that from the player trading.
The player trading, they're having to get rid of our better players, which puts us in relegation. You know, people go, how come Everton are in a relegation battle all of a sudden when they were up for Europe? Tell you what, go and have a look at all the players we've sold.
Absolutely.
The players we've had to get rid of. The squad that's been trimmed. I remember Marcel Brands, we sat in only 2020 telling us he had 39 players.
And he needs to slim it
down. To go and have a look now.
A lot less than Forest.
Go and have a look now. It's just cut. We're having to sell players like Tom Cannon, who we might not have wanted to sell, just to get some money in, because he's pure profit. Ellis Sims.
Same.
Might have wanted to sell Ellis anyway. They might not, but they had to sell them because they got money in for him. So we have complied with what they've done. We sold Richarlison. Don't get me wrong, Everton are still at fault as well in this. I'm not blanketing it all and going, we haven't done anything wrong. We've still been run quite poorly. But there is mitigation for me in some of this, where, and certainly because the rules are going to change as well, I just find that astonishing.
There's been countless words spoken and words written, haven't there, about this since March time-ish last year. And I don't recall any of it saying, we're doing this for the good of the club, so we don't want them to go into administration. The whole point of PSR is to stop clubs failing. Isn't
Exactly,
it?
and they're
And yet
pushing us closer to
the outcome at the moment looks like it could result in clubs going under because of what they're doing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So how is that fair?
Yeah, so Premier League statement, right?
Yeah.
And they were a bit slow and tardy, weren't they? Because I think all the journalists and what have you had been embargoed to whatever it was, 4 o'clock, all went with it, and these guys hadn't made their mind of what it was going to be. So it says, the two clubs have each confirmed to the Premier League that they are in breach of the league's profitability and sustainability rules. Everton Football Club and Nottingham Forest have each confirmed to the Premier League that they're in breach of... This is as a result of sustaining losses above the permitted threshold to the assessment period ending 2022-23. In accordance with the Premier League rules, both cases have now been referred to the chair of the judicial panel, who will appoint separate commissions to determine the appropriate sanction. Commissions are independent of the Premier League. Yeah, we believe that. And member clubs. The proceedings are heard in private, with the commission final decisions made public on the Premier League's website. The league will make no further comment until that time. That last sentence, you didn't do that last time.
No.
So guess what? I don't believe you this time either. That's a very bland thing, which is what you'd expect.
Yeah.
It's got some legality around it. Notts Forest, sorry, fans. Nottingham Forest's view is also very bland, speedy thing. But I think the chronology of events surely has to be Everton's appeal has to be dealt with first, and then both Everton and Forest have to go presumably through it at exactly the same time. Yeah, which would be interesting if it wasn't exactly the same time, wouldn't it? Because I suppose in theory Forest could get done straight away. But if I'm Forest, I say I don't want to do that yet.
Yeah.
I want to wait and see what happens to Everton first. So speedy looks like, doesn't it, February, March?
Yeah. You can't go. If you're Forest, you're not. I wouldn't. If I was Forest, I wouldn't be going in anywhere near.
And at the moment,
anything
we
until
don't have any view, do we, about what the numbers are?
No, I mean the only indications are that things are improving. That is the indication. So therefore, losses are getting smaller. But then if they've breached it, haven't they?
Because if you do the losses getting smaller bit, each subsequent year, with a big, huge number falling off Everton's 3 periods, it's hard to see how we failed. Yeah. So I guess what we've done, and if we've done this, I think we're absolutely right to do this. We've taken the outcome of the original independent commission as being the baseline, and then obviously applied the 2023 results on top of that. Even though we don't agree with it, that's why we're appealing. And therefore, logically, we fail again. I think so. For an audience of Evertonians, maybe it is mostly Evertonians, strikes me that today may be the darkest day, and when it all plays through, it might not be as bad as we perhaps all think now. Because I guess if you're me or you're others, you're thinking, crikey, we had 10 points before, which we're arguing about. They're going to give us another 10 points or whatever, which we'll then try and argue about. But if we lost the first time, we'll lose the second time. And therefore, worst case scenario is
we've got
22 points. Because it might give us 12. Who knows, right? Because 12's the maximum. And if you're Forest, you're thinking, well, Everton got 10, and we know they lost, they were 20 million over. If Forest are much more than 20 million, like 10 million over, i.e. 30 million, they'll get 12 points, won't they? And if they get 12 points right now, gosh, does that put them in the bottom 2 or something? So it's all up in the air, and then appeals take place as well then. Because one assumes if both clubs get punitive points deductions sometime in February, March, they're both going to appeal, aren't they? And ultimate decision might be what handbook says, June time, when the shareholders meet. Are we really saying that season could finish in May, and the relegated teams won't be known for another number of weeks later?
That's what they're saying. That's what
no
it is.
pre-season for anyone who's involved in it.
That week, apparently, they'll find out.
The week after the season finishes, which is crazy.
The week after,
Which is still pathetic.
I think the long stop's June, isn't it? So, but yeah, it is pathetic. So this is a sunny day plan, as we talked about on the channel before. It's all things being equal, we can just truck through the process. There's your result. Get on with it. But
I mean, I've always thought anyway, and I might be wrong here, but I've always thought points deductions shouldn't be anywhere near a football pit ever, unless it's
that's evidence. I've said that from the beginning,
unless you field an ineligible player.
Yeah.
Then fair enough. I don't think monetary things shouldn't result in points deduction. I think that's crazy.
Tribalism aside.
Oh yeah, no, I just mean for everyone.
No, that's what I mean. Tribalism aside, does anyone really think that the self-proclaimed best league in the world should be dominated by marketeers and lawyers. Surely it should be dominated by footballers.
Dominated by asterisks now.
Yeah. It should be dominated by footballers and football
Exactly.
clubs.
For me, it's squad reduction, transfer ban. They're the things that, if you're going to do it, reduction, things on your owner, sanctions on your owner or whatever. It shouldn't ever... Because what you're doing is you're affecting us, the fan, the football fans, who've done nothing to this other than...
It is complicated, though, isn't it? Because you say a squad reduction, say 23 players instead of 25 or whatever it is. But those players are on your books. They're still costing you money.
No, they are.
Which is why part of your mitigation is...
A transfer ban then?
Yeah. Bringing in transfers, you should be able to let them go.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But that's why, clubs will say, won't they? Forest are a crazy example because everyone knows they bought about 200 players or something. But once you're in the hole, it's hard to climb out because you have costs which you can't turn off overnight. Yeah. If you fail PSR because you bought too many players on too big a salary, then you can't just sack them, can you?
No.
And if you try and sell them, right, that's one way of doing it. And I think that's what the mitigation will be for Forest. We sold Brennan Johnson, right? But if in like the Richarlison example, you end up selling a player in your own belief, perhaps for less than you could have got for them, that keeps you in the hole as well.
It does. Well, your quality goes down.
And
that's what
the Premier League, that leaks like a sieve, right? Because journalists knew all this last week, right? Then you can't even have a good commercial negotiation with Daniel Levy or whatever it might be to sell a player because he knows that you have to sell.
Well, that's it. The whole it's moved away from what it was, and that's what I'm saying. It should never ever translate to on the pitch. I agree. I think the only way you can do is like a transfer embargo. Then that's up to you then to manage that, and it's difficult. Don't get me wrong, it's difficult, and it does still impact the playing side. I get that, but it's not merit based. You can't have a thing where Everton have earned 27 points this season, and they've got 17, and you're thinking about taking more off them. Say, now I don't know. Listen, the Premier League might be like, we've got no intention of taking more points off them because it's at the discretion of the panel.
It is
the independent commission. But Everton have earned 27 points this season. Nottingham Forest have earned 20. So what Forest all of a sudden have got 10 points, and Everton have got 7. Because we've had 20 points taken off us by committee. I'm using that obviously as just because we got 10 last time. It shouldn't work out like that. It should be, right, you two, if they were found guilty, if you're going to use points deductions, me personally, I think you start the season with them. And going into August, this is what happens, and you can't get any further for that season. If you do something again, it's for the next season. That way you can sort of find that you can sort of understand what you're working with. But I don't believe for any team there should be a points deduction unless, like I've said, you've affected that game by playing a player who wasn't registered or something like that. It should be, right, transfer ban then, 12-month transfer ban. Oh, we need a right winger. Up to you, mate. You've got to get round it.
Yeah, players need to be registered, and the league or this FA or whatever, because we're not going to register any new players for you for 2 years. You buy them and cost you money.
I think 2 years is excessive.
Or whatever.
But it should be definitely 1 year.
Yeah.
So I don't know, July the 1st till the following July the 1st. So you're missing the transfer window and you're missing the January window. And then you can't go early until you can only sign players after July. So they're still giving you a bit of a hindrance the following transfer window because you're kind of 6 weeks behind everybody else. Can't buy anyone till Jan. And that way, that's affecting you. But your merit based position in the league isn't affected because it's up to you to get those points. Sean Dyche, I'm sure, listen, we'd all be cry-arsing, but if they would have gone in November, no points deduction, but Everton have got a transfer ban from January 1st through January 1st next year. So we know that we can't buy anyone in this January and can't buy anyone in the summer. But you've got 27 points. Well, at least we know what we've got to work with. Now, okay, it gets sticky in the summer when Dan Zuma goes back and Jack Harrison goes back. But that's up to Sean Dyche then to come up with a way of playing through to January, doesn't it? And then in January, you go, right, in January, we need to bring in a right winger and and then you plan for that. And the other thing with that is as well, it actually also helps the football club.
Of course.
Because they know that they're not going to be spending any money in that window as well, so you can bank that money, get your books a little bit healthier. Because effectively Everton have had... If Everton had another 10 points they should have, we'd be in 12th, wouldn't we?
Something like that, yeah.
So
that's out 1 point out the last 4 games. It would have been much higher previously.
But we'd be 12th, yeah. We would be, wouldn't we? 27. We'd be in 12th spot, right? We'd be 5 points behind the European place. But forget about that. We'd be in 12th spot, which is 5 places better off than we are, which is something like £11.8 million in prize money. So we've been given, arguably, a £12 million fine, and we've lost 10
What's the objective of this
points.
process?
It's supposed to keep football clubs from struggling, making sure that they survive, essentially.
So we'll limit your chances of getting income.
Yeah, so your income's getting hammered. We're also putting a big...
I might have known the answer to that.
No, of course you did, but you're feeding me, so I say it out loud. We're hampering your chances of getting more money.
Yeah.
And we're also putting you at risk of losing £80 million this year when you get relegated.
Yeah.
By hammering. So really, we're kind of giving you whichever numbers
They've
you want.
lost their way.
It's between 70 and 90 million
They've
pound
lost
fine.
their way. And the threshold was set forever ago.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be 105 anyway, should it? It should be, I don't know. How
Inflation it's over 200
is it,
million.
Is it really? I was
So
going to
it's
say
double. I think it's double what it was when it was put in place.
Okay, so call it 200 million, right? So then you say, well, the one you just got done for, Evan, you weren't anywhere near close to that, right? But again, that's a soft mitigation. That's like the Gylfi decision or how you choose.
Which all affected us, but that's just the way
I know,
it is.
But,
Yeah.
no,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm an
It's just the way
advocate
it is.
and I've said it for my day job for years. You know, you stick to the rules until you get them changed.
Yeah.
You don't just cry foul when you breach the rules because they weren't the way you wanted them to be. But how Chelsea...
I think I'll be honest. I think a lot of people are crying foul.
No. I'm with you.
Anyway,
I'm with
weren't
you.
they?
When people get to the point, and that's why I did the tribalism thing.
Yeah.
Clearly there's now 2 groups of fans, isn't there? I guess, who will say these aren't fair. These rules, okay. But the other football club that's got sanctioned or alleged, and got referred today, trying to sue Everton allegedly not so long ago. So all them other clubs, I mean, you just go on to a Twitter stream and see what you get from Man City. I'm going to say from Man City fans when people start saying they've got 115. When is it going to be them? And it shows their concern in bucket loads, even though they're trying to say nah, and all that sort of stuff, because there's fear, uncertainty, and doubt about what is or is not going to happen. And Everton fans have spent the last 24 hours or more thinking, here we go again. The number of people who will message you saying, you know what, football's not worth it no more, is it? You got these random VAR decisions. You got referees who do silly things. You've got marketeers and lawyers who think it's good to kick you when you're down, blah, blah, blah. And you can look at a league table where you think, my team's lost the same number of games as one of their current darlings who apparently can't do anything wrong because they're owned by a big Middle Eastern country. And yet, even they say they can't do anything unless they sell their best players. We should be nip and tuck with Newcastle right now in points earned versus points on the board, shouldn't we? And we're not. And it just seems daft.
I think they've got a few more than us. But yeah, not
if we had our 10 back on, it's not much, is it?
I think they've got about 38, haven't they? 36.
Okay, whatever.
They've had a good run lately. No, but the thing about, say that they've won. They're on a crap run, but they did win. They beat Thingy the other week, didn't they?
They've got 29.
Oh, after I thought they had a bit
Give
more
us
than
10
that.
points.
Oh, you know why? I seen the league table when they were winning the other day against City and it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, Geordie Toonville said it's sadly a bad day for football.
It is.
And it is once this comes in, once they start affecting that. You see, the whole thing as well is, and this again brings me back to what I was saying before, with you've already been done for 66% of this. You've been done for it. Well, the minute Everton are done, it should start at 0 again. So if you're done, so I find you guilty say you're guilty till, what was it, June 22nd, June 22.
Whatever, yeah.
Right, John, you're fine.
The end of that 3 year period.
That 3 year period, you're getting done. That's your punishment. You should start again.
No, I don't think it should be.
Well, that's fine for you, but I'm saying I do because otherwise you're going to get done again for the same thing.
No, do you want to know why though?
Well, no, but let me finish. For the simple reason that you can't correct anything that's in those 2 years.
I sort of agree.
Do you know what I mean? But
I sort of agree,
yeah,
right? If football clubs don't have people monitoring their spend...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And therefore, you shouldn't have to wait until you get referred to an independent commission to go, oh, my goodness, we've broken the rules.
No,
right?
of course.
But notwithstanding that, let's break down what you just said, okay?
Yeah.
So you've got a 3-year period. Okay, it's 4 now because of COVID, but a 3-year period, and they draw a line, they refer you to commission, bang to rights, you get a 10-point deduction. Your logic is, well, you shouldn't get done again for the same thing.
Correct, yeah.
Which is fair enough, right? It's a bit like us debating it's exactly the same shirt pull or not, you know?
Yeah.
So then the following year, which is where we are now, we've got 2/3 of the previous period in the current period, and we're just being referred again. And you're rightly saying, well, we can't get another points deduction because we've already had the points deduction for the first 2 years. Yeah, but according to the rules, the way they stand, and the rules are rubbish, right? It's a different period.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to have a mechanism whereby you can't just start again because in your version, if you like, you would have drawn a line in the sand when we, for the end of last season.
Yeah.
And then we'd have 105 that we could overspend by for the next 3 years. But we could do that all in 1 year if we wanted to. Right? So my version would be you'd have some form of pro rata.
Yeah.
Right? Which says, we won't do you if you're over by less than 35 million.
Yeah. But that was kind of what I was alluding to. I wasn't saying it's like fully zero so we can go wild again. What I meant was we've been punished for that period.
No, I get it.
So therefore, take 1 year then. You're right, take 1 year. We're allowed to lose 35 million a season. So
On
Everton,
average,
you've got 35 million. You go to 36, we're going to do you. You've broke it again.
Now, and then if we'll use our club as the example.
Yeah.
If Everton, for the last year in this reporting period, are below that number, which is the contention, which is it's getting better.
Yeah, we're improving.
We're listening, we're pulling our belt in, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It seems crazy that you get done just because you were done before.
Yeah, that's what
you've made a mistake 4 years ago and you're living with it 5 years later.
Yeah,
that's just completely
in a thing where we're supposed to be trying to encourage. I mean, Pet, come on, you haven't had your say yet. What with? Where are you with this? Where are you with it?
I just think the whole thing is. I'll be honest. I just think it's. I think to pull 2 years into it, it's just nonsense. And I also think if it's just there's no. There's no grey area. It's all black and white. So therefore, you've gone over. And even the terminology, the Premier League, of the clubs have admitted to it. Well, they haven't really admitted to it.
No.
What they've done is they've put in numbers, and you don't agree with those numbers. So therefore, they've almost admitted it by putting in those numbers. Yeah. So even that, and then you've referred straight to the commission. So you've got to wait to this the arbitrary date.
Yeah.
Which decides your whole fate. And it just feels very. I don't know. It feels like both clubs, not just Everton, but both clubs are put out there like it's already been decided. Like
you're cheats. We know what you are.
Yeah. Like you're going to the commission, and therefore, even like as I'm saying, like the PR around it. I know Everton will put their side of it, but even in the PR side, it's not weighted. So it's like, oh yeah, you'll get, you'll go and it'll all be, the way everyone already feels like, well, it's been done, so they're done. They're guilty. The minute the wording of it is just for the average person.
And they admit they're guilty.
Yeah, and they've admitted it. So what are you crying over? Why are you complaining? There's almost the words have already been put out there that these are guilty. They've admitted it. Don't even know why we need to send them to a commission. Just hand out the punishment. And again, it's like, I've seen the timetable there. Sky have put a timetable up of what's supposed, and it's like if appeals go in, it'll be the week
within
after,
2 weeks.
The week after the last game of the season. I'm just like, is that how we're?
I told you it wouldn't be. Yeah, it's mad.
Is that how we're running football now? Is that how we're deciding things? And again, it's just like you just said there. It's just another thing where you just go, why? What's the point anymore? What is the actual point? You'll have people from other clubs laughing about it, making jokes about it all season. You're just like, this is our lives. This is the people who work there. This is their livelihoods. This is our lives as fans and of our clubs. And how can you not feel just like utterly distraught?
It's not
and
the
lost
game
by it
anymore.
all? No. So how can you not feel utterly lost and just distressed by it all of like where our game's going? Like, if it is like say it's, I don't know, there's a thing out there saying there's like 9 million quid. Fucking hell.
Where do people get these numbers from?
Because of people who are supposed to be in the know. But even the first one, 19 million quid, fucking who cares? 19 million quid for a Premier League team is a drop in the ocean. You will spend that on...
It's 8% of turnover. That's a big number.
In the world of football, John, it's not.
It is.
It's not. It isn't. It isn't. I can sit here all day. You could spend that on fucking getting the toilets cleaned.
Our turnover's less than 200 million.
That's on us.
That's what I mean. It's 8% for us.
In the world of football, it's nothing. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's a number that's picked for everybody.
Yes, that's what I mean.
That's a big number for
There's
us,
a debate here that says if Everton breach the rules, as you just said, by, let's make the sums easy, 20 million, yeah? And that's 10% of our turnover, then it's 3% of City's turnover.
But even like
you know what I mean? So the impacts at all.
But even like you said before, stuff like it not going up by inflation.
That's mad.
How can you sit there and go, so we're paying higher bills,
wages, transfer fees,
the stadium's going up.
Yeah.
Everything goes up in the stadium, and yet this thing.
But the rule you have to stick to doesn't.
This thing you decided 10 years ago that for like 9 years everyone was like, oh, that's just that thing. Who cares? And then, guess what happens tomorrow? The Richard Masters is in front of a Commons Commission tomorrow, isn't he?
And he doesn't want independent regulation.
And it's like, for these people, whether people think this is a sob story, whatever, but for these people, it means absolutely nothing. But to us, it means absolutely everything. And that distinction used to be a big thing in football. That was a really important thing. Now it just seems to be like, you're just you're collateral damage. We're prepared to sacrifice you for what we want.
Yeah.
And it
just
stinks.
Yeah, you're right. All the years for our football club of being stupid, and spending too much money on not good enough players were a number of years ago, and we never failed these rules. No. Allegedly. And now we have.
Yeah, it's nonsense. I mean, you've got a cup. Goldstone Ghost, who I assume's a Brighton fan, says stadia and infrastructure don't count towards FFP spending. Well, they did for 2 of the years. This is Everton's argument. They counted monies towards it, counted. The Premier League said, yeah, that's in there. And then halfway through this process, when these figures have gone in, which is what Everton's defence was, they've turned around and said, actually, you can't have them in there now. So that's one of the things.
Sorry, just build on that, because the guy might not know what goes on, right?
Go on.
Because it's... We put a planning application in after spending a lot of money on architects and
too much money,
and doing all not too much money on Dan Meese. I think he's done a great job, but you incur.
I meant on the process.
Yeah. But you incur a lot of money.
Let's have another bloody consultation.
Yeah.
For 2
so
years.
You spend a lot of money on consultation processes, on architectural works, site preparations, all of those things, and none of those work in your favour for FFP. Yeah, we'll call it that as a generic, right? Until you get the planning gets granted. So when people hear a headline that says, well, it can't be your stadium's fault because actually that's only part of the story. It is for some of the years, right? And then Everton sit down, and this is the local story, Everton sit down with the Premier League and explain all this, and they say, no, you're right, it's okay, we know what the intention is here, blah, blah, blah. And that was all... what is it, Q4 of 2022, and then in February, March 2023, the Premier League changed its mind. Said, actually, no, you can't count that as being stadium because, and that was one of the biggest drivers. So for the audience who are not Everton fans, Everton eventually accepted that they'd breach FFP. When they went to the independent commission. Our view as a football club was we breached it by about 7 million quid, something like that. I can't remember the exact number, which is a crazy, stupid number. the Premier League started off with, we were like at 40 odd, didn't they, or some stupid high number?
They started off with. No, they said we were at 117.
That's what. Yeah.
Then they adjusted it and went to 124.
Yeah. Well, it came down at their number.
Then their number brought it.
The point was, we thought we're down here. They claim we're right up there, and we end up somewhere in between. But the point is, it's all negotiating and interpretation of accounting practices and all sorts of things. It's lawyers and marketeers and forensic accountants. It's not centre forwards, goalkeepers.
No.
It's mad.
Things that apply on the pitch.
Now, the thing is, Everton fans have been saying this for 8, 9, 10 months. Well, Forest fans will start talking about it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then down the track, and let's be clear here, are we totally sure if they didn't change the rules that other clubs wouldn't be on this naughty step? And you've got to remember that bit. Fearful, one assumes, of every single season is decided in a courtroom, they're changing the rules.
Well, Chelsea are getting away with it, aren't they?
Chelsea are getting away with it.
1.1 billion on players.
Closer and closer to that line.
And they're changing the rules.
The rules will be changed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people
admitting
want to
it.
know. A lot of people. What if Manchester City doesn't get heard till after August? Are they going to be measured by the rules?
The new rules.
Well, City have told you when they're prepared to sit down and listen.
October, isn't it?
In 25.
Yeah, it's way in the future. It's
Nearly
not
2
this
years away.
It's not this year. A principle should be, though, of course, Ped, I would suggest, and this isn't what the Premier League think, the rules that apply to you when you eventually get caught up with are the ones that were in place at the time that you breached the
For
rules.
115 of them, they'd be going back quite some time. Where the rules weren't in place.
Yeah.
Toffee Blues on the super chat says Premier League corrupt, they hate us and every other club who isn't top six. Sick and tired of being treated like flipping scum. I am paraphrasing the way he said.
Something a bit stronger than
just slightly stronger, but it's not 6 o'clock yet, so you know. The golfer says Premier League are trying to justify their existence by now trying to implement and manage their governance. It's unbelievable. Bobby says City and West Ham gifted stadiums. We try to build our own and we get this.
And we are.
We still play in the first purpose-built stadium in the world. It's beyond bonkers. Barry Wall says the fact Newcastle and Aston Villa might need to sell to buy proves it's a rigged game. They have enough leeway to make a go of it, make the Premier League interesting, but they can't mess with the cartel. Craig says, so if you lose 106 million one year, then break even every other year, you could get charged 3 separate times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they keep doing it, mate. They keep adding it on. I just seen one from a Newcastle fan. It's disappeared.
Well, you'll find in the Newcastle one. I'll read this out.
Go on. Yeah.
Tone-deaf statement by the Premier League sums up the organisation under Richard Masters. Even if you agree with the importance of PSR, you have to show some understanding of what potential charges mean on a human level to supporters and staff of the two clubs.
Who's that from?
Henry Winter.
There you go.
Mr. Winter's after you now, Mr. Masters. And you, my friend, won't be in that job that long.
He can't be. The fella's a disgrace. Should be hiding.
Really dropped the ball.
He should be running and hiding. Philbo Baggins, what a name, is a Newcastle fan, says, hope you get the 10 points back. You won them. They're yours. This is destroying the integrity of the game.
You're right, mate. You really are. And you've got loads of money you're not allowed to spend.
The whole thing, it's like, I mean, Ped said it today. I don't know whether we were on. We might have been live, we mightn't have been, but it was like, at some stage, you have to start asking, why Ned's coming and is touching his toes in front of us. You have to start asking, like, what is the point of going to match then? Because these games actually, you don't know whether these games are going to mean anything or not, because the Premier League...
Martin Samuel told us a number of weeks
Premier
ago.
League, yeah.
Martin Samuel told us, again, the Times, broadsheet, he said, thanks, Mr. Masters, there's no real need to go to the match on a Saturday because we all know what the result's going to be.
Yeah, what they say.
He said, a national journalist said, it's bent.
I honestly, I don't care, like, what's going on here, but hang on, who's this? I
mean, Everton, while you're doing that, of course, in their statement...
Hang on. John Dunn, who do you support? Just let me know, because I just want to know. Did you just say level with Newcastle? Everton should have been relegated. Why should Everton have been relegated last season? They got more points than
those teams
than the teams below us. Just clarify that for me, please. Goldstone Ghost says last sanction was for 21-22. Yeah, I understand. Well, it's 4 years because of a COVID season.
1920 and 2021 were treated as one year. Henry Winter's gone all in. He really has.
Well, because it's making the whole thing laughable.
Yeah.
It's making the whole thing's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing.
They are effectively being punished for building a magnificent new stadium which brings jobs to the local community, beauty to the local skyline, and more glamour to the Premier League.
Right, okay. So John Dunn's a red. So there you go.
That's a surprise.
Well, there's no point to even read that. When you make comments like that, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Well, tribalism hasn't ended.
No, but it's not tribalism. It's just that's just not thinking. Because that's like me saying Liverpool should have finished 15th last season. And he'd go, well, we got points to finish high up the league. Oh, yeah, you did, sorry. The argument doesn't, it's nonsense. So, therefore, come on, mate. Come on with something good. Don't come on with comments like that. So, yeah. Where are we? John Dunn lives in his mum's basement, says Mathew Roberts. Well, he might live with his mum.
We can't have a go
for that, because he might live at home. It's expensive to have houses nowadays, so...
I'm not sure why he's wearing a clothes, though.
I don't know, but you can't have a go with someone for living at home. But it's just that thing of why should we have been relegated? It's like a stupid thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we got more points than the 3 teams that went down, so we shouldn't have been relegated.
And all them clubs took points off us.
Spurs, 800 million in debt, says M1R4. Man U, whatever, 1.2 billion in debt or something.
But they got Mr. Ratcliffe now. So that'll be great, won't it?
Still at 1.2 billion in debt, aren't they? Regardless. It's how you get out of it, isn't it? That's the thing. It's how you get out of it. And
what about future owners for Everton? Thinking, do we really want to own this thing? Because the people who run the league don't like them.
777, what a perfect fit.
James says...
That'll be out soon.
Oh, the FA have done an out-of-court supplement. Out-of-court settlement today to stop him having to go to court. What was he going to court for?
It's the Premier League, isn't it? Stop Masters having to go for the discrimination that the Premier League have done.
Oh, so they've settled today?
Yeah, they've settled, yeah. So they've spent the league's money to stop him being embarrassed about why the Premier League is discriminatory against its own staff.
But that's what they are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Masters has done an unbelievable job at discrediting a league that they've took. The reputation's in tatters because of him.
Yeah.
You know him and the woman who has refused to answer any questions. Alison Britton, who's not answered anything.
I can't believe that the shareholders of the Premier League are happy with the performance of the chief exec.
No.
Because this is all bad news, isn't it?
What's mad is...
brand damaging news.
There's people looking at class actions, isn't it, against the Premier League, Will?
Oh, yeah.
And they've got 243. But a lot of Evertonians, I think, would be within their right to say, you are causing me mental health issues because you're just literally going after us.
The Premier League haven't even tweeted it, and it's buried on their website.
Yeah. So proud of their rules.
Well, they're embarrassments, aren't they?
They know their rules are not fit for purpose. That's why they're changing them. Come on.
It is crazy. It's crazy that it's allowed.
They and the football clubs, Nottingham Forest and Everton, are going to spend hundreds of thousands, presumably, on very, very clever lawyers who are going to argue, mega detail, which be above most of our heads, to find out whether the team that won most games and collected most points should get relegated or not.
I mean, Mike White says a simple solution would have been for the Premier League to allow Everton to keep the points earned, but at the end of the season, base their financial position award on actual points, -10. Financially punished, but the team is okay.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
So Everton...
So you don't get the rewards.
Don't get the reward.
All the rewards, yeah.
It's mad because, again, if you actually...
They've lost track. They've lost focus on what they put the rules in place for in the first place, which is a fear that the brand would be damaged by clubs going out of business, and the brand is being damaged.
It's being damaged by this,
by the way they're behaving, and I don't know why the shareholders of the Premier League, other than vested interest, are not saying to the people they employ to run the place, what you're doing, because they sign off on all these rules, don't they? But do they is this just the 6 or clubs who think it'll never impact them going, yeah, let's do that?
John says, would you be saying this if it was Manchester United? We'll be saying what, John? That points deductions shouldn't happen. Absolutely.
We've been saying for nearly a year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why should you? Why would you take points off a football team that has earned them? They haven't gone and spent the money, have they? When I don't listen. If Everton, you should never ever do a points deduction. In my opinion,
for anybody,
transfer ban or squad reduction for anybody, for any club. It shouldn't affect the merit of the team ever.
What about the fans?
All the fans, right? Transfer ban, yeah. Squad reduction, yeah. You can only have 20 places and your other 5 have to be made up with under 21 players. Deal with it. No issue at all. Taking points is ridiculous. I wouldn't be saying it for any team, but if Everton, it's laughable when you see opposition fans go on about cheating or something.
Man City's were the best.
When you haven't looked at what has actually happened. Go and look at Everton's squad from a couple of years ago to now. Look at where Everton are in the net spend. Look at where Everton are in reduction. All they've done is cut, because they're building a stadium and they're trying to improve. So, if you're I don't know who you support, John, but yes, we would be saying it, because no club should have points. Why would you take points off a team that has 1 point? Unless you feel, and like I keep saying, unless you physically cheat on the pitch and bring a player on who isn't registered.
No, if you take points off a team, right? That means there must have been a game when no points were awarded.
I just don't
Shouldn't you give them to the team that we beat when we shouldn't have done, or we drew that we shouldn't have drawn with? Oh, no, you can't do that, can you? Because you don't know.
Well, Dom apparently has got his red card still on his record, so if that doesn't tell you how pathetic football is, nothing will. The Art of Cinema on the Super Chat, thank you very much, mate, says there are so many easy ways to improve the sport, but none of it will be put in place because it would level the playing field. The rich get richer.
You know what? I'm not convinced about that bit.
Okay.
No, the beginning of it, I do agree that they could they could determine what they think is the outcome they want, i.e. clubs don't go into administration, you don't have unfit owners and directors and all those sorts of things, and perhaps could do it all a bit better, a bit more transparently, and so on, a bit like offside, just have it in a ball, whatever. But those at the top will always stay at the top. Yeah. Unless you put new rules in, like salary caps or whatever, which eventually would bring some normalising to it, and then those clubs would make huge profits instead of giving lots of money to agents. But
then that huge profits could be given back to the fans, couldn't it?
Yeah,
which is
what
really should happen,
and so on. Yeah, and so if they're not careful, these people, they'll find, there will be a revolution, and the fans will say, "This is our game, we're having it." Yeah.
So you know what else is really.
If the fans ever get mobilised, all this will go away. Yeah.
You know what's really frustrating and upset and makes you a bit angry as an Evertonian, what has gone on? Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, please, while you're here. Thank you very much. Is that the Premier League were holding our hand for 2 years of this as well, not allowing us to do anything. Stopped us signing 3 or 4 good players, which would have helped us finish higher up the league.
And the promise was you won't get punished.
The promise was that if you do this, you'll stay within, and that affected our league position, because we could have finished 5 or 6 places higher, which would have kept us under. Well, we'd have been so close to the line, we probably wouldn't have failed.
5 places, another 10 million quid.
Exactly.
Or something.
Made us get rid of players. Made us get rid of squad players. Me and Ped were talking today, the likes of Andros Townsend. Everton would have offered him, but Everton would have offered him a new deal, but we couldn't. Yerry Mean has not played a lot of games, but he was just an example. Everton wanted to keep Connor Cody.
Yeah, good.
4.5 million would have been a real good backup for the team. Couldn't afford it. Everton wanted. There's other options Everton wanted and couldn't touch, because the Premier League were like, no. And then when you do all that, they turn around and go, like, now you failed.
And they remind you it's your responsibility to stick to the rules.
You're telling us that we can't, you won't sign off on this deal. On deadline day, when Lampard was here, we had to wait. We nearly lost the deal because people might say we should have done, but we nearly lost out on a deal because the Premier League were taking so long to sign off on it, and yet they've come down and gone, you still failed, and we're doing you. You know, it's all of this.
I mean, it's about, we talk about it quite a lot on this channel, don't we, about doing...
Key B says, I've got to read this out because it's good when someone says it, because people have receipts for when you've said things wrong, don't they? But he's just said, remember Baz saying on the overlap, no team could overcome stringent profit and sustainability rules way before any rumours of an Everton breach. Years later, fans of other teams finally realising he was correct. That was when I had a chat with Paul Scholes when he told
when you
me
schooled him.
Newcastle could spend 500 million every transfer market. And I was like, doesn't work like that, mate. Thank you very much for that, mate, because normally, like I say, the receipts are to go, remember when you said this?
That 1 and 1 was 3.
You're like, yeah, and you're like, well, at the time. Keith Lynch, thanks for the super chat. We haven't said anything. So put your comments in and I'll find it.
Just a donation, was it?
Yeah. Michael Lloyd says, Baz, this is utterly backwards. The other 14 should just start a league. Yeah, start our own league.
The 14 are leaving.
Just like that. We're all leaving. I just think... it just...
Call it Premier League Plus.
Yeah. It just annoys me, that the fact that, like I said, he's done us for the 10 points, and I think it's, me personally, it's too much, but people will have different views. But this going back after you again with the same... I just can't get my head around it, John. It's like being done for, like, speeding. And then they go, well, we're going, next time you get done for speed, which you shouldn't speed anyway, it's probably a terrible example, but next time you speed as well, I'm going to take the other time you were done for speeding as well.
That's twice you've been done now.
So I'm doing it again. Do you know what I mean? You're like, well, but I had to go and sit in that thing for 3 hours when I got done last time, the road awareness, or I've had to pay 6.
There's a pretty fundamental thing, isn't there, in, law. The double jeopardy thing, that you can't be done for the same thing twice. And as these are all KCs who head up independent commissions, and as the current rules don't define what the punishment should be, one would rather hope that the KC for this one, if it gets that far, will conclude you've already been done for 2/3 of this.
Yeah.
We might end up with some narrative that says, if this was your first offence, I would have given you a 10-point, a 9, make it some easier, a 9-point deduction. But because you've already been done for 2/3 of it, it's only 3. But you're still left with a point deduction is not an appropriate sanction. Yeah. So,
but it's for everyone. I'm talking for everyone. Listen, it affects our club, of course it does. But I just think the thing really stuck with me with Newcastle and Villa. Like, listen, I'm not Aston Villa fan. I'm not a Newcastle fan. But I just thought their managers shouldn't be saying we might have to sell our best player just to comply. When you're in them positions, you're dreaming of who else can we get to give us that, to try and take us over the edge, aren't you? To get us into that hunting pack. It's like how does that work? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not advocating open checkbook for everybody. No. So Newcastle go ahead $1 billion. I'm not saying that. But
also don't forget that Newcastle suffered the change in the rules. That was just for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which is wrong.
Yeah.
Or was wrong. Is wrong.
With the sponsorship thing as well. Yeah, Debbie, who's a Wolves fan, says, I'm a Wolves fan after this year. I will not renew my season ticket. This Premier League stinks. I'm going back to watching lower league football. No VAR and no Premier League witch hunts. And obviously, Wolves with
skin of the
Mendes, they had to sell players, didn't they? Just to get them out the door to comply. So you're going on. Gary O'Neill's done a fantastic job, and they've been stitched up with VAR as well this season, terribly.
Totally.
But it is berserk. It's absolutely crazy. But Keith says, anyone got Richard Masters' postcode?
Everton fans who stood outside his office knows where he works. But mad.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Gavin says, we sold Richie, we sold Anthony Gordon, we sold Tom Cannon, we sold Ellis
Anthony Gordon will be in these numbers, won't he?
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing, though. Whether we wanted to sell Anthony Gordon or not, whatever, but we did sell him, and we didn't buy anyone with it.
That's right.
Did we? James says, if only we had a fella who did accountancy for a living.
Well, Mashiri didn't do that. He's long past doing that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean.
But we did have, a finance director who walked off with a bag of money before all.
This is Everton's official statement. Everton Football Club acknowledges the Premier League's decision to refer a breach of profit and sustainability rules for the assessment period ending with the 22-23 season to an independent Premier League commission. This relates to a period which covers the seasons 19-20, 20-21, 21-22 and 22-23. It therefore includes financial periods 2019-20, 2021 and 21-22, for which the club has already received a 10-point sanction. The club is currently appealing that sanction. The Premier League does not have guidelines which prevent a club being sanctioned for alleged breaches in financial periods which have already been subject to punishment, unlike other governing bodies, including the EFL. As a result, and because of the Premier League's new commitment to deal with such matters in season, the club is in a position where it has no option but to submit a PSR calculation which remains subject to change.
That's what we were talking about before.
Pending the outcome of the appeal. The club must now defend another Premier League complaint which includes the very same financial periods for which it has already been sanctioned before that appeal has even been heard. The club takes the view that this results from a clear deficiency in the Premier League's rules. Everton can assure its fans that it will continue to defend its position during the ongoing appeal, and should it be required to do so at any future commission, and that the impact on supporters will be reflected as part of that process.
One thing I would say is, I don't know, John might agree, I agree or not agree. I think if this was an open thing and it could be taken to the court, European Court of Arbitration, I think it would be lashed.
Oh,
absolutely thrown out.
I think so. I think maybe that's one of the reasons why the rules of the club don't allow you to do, the club being the Premier League club, you know, the 20 shareholders, that they sort of agree not to sue each other or the league, don't they? Notwithstanding that, that's what Forest and so on, Watford and whoever else it was, Leeds, wasn't it, Burnley, all were threatening to do, but in the end haven't. You know, the guy or the barrister who was going to head up that little consortium to come after Everton is now going to have to defend Notts Forest against the same sort of, Nottingham Forest, the same sort of punishment that we've had in the past. And if their numbers are materially worse than ours,
they're going to get worse.
The breach is bigger, then they're going to bump straight up to 12 points, aren't they? Which is crazy. Crazy for Nottingham Forest that they would get a 12-point deduction, having spent forever in the Championship, and their threshold's lower because of that, and so on and so on and so forth. So it's crystal clear that whatever the reasons and the objectives of PSR, it's long since been forgotten, because the day-to-day execution of it is just, there's a line in the sand that you've crossed and we're going to chase you down. It's mad. I'm with you. Why not just have a simple algorithm that, you know, you fill in the, because it is a form at the end of the day, isn't it? You fill in a form telling us what your accounts say, we validate that what you say is true, and if you pass this line, we give you this amount of this punishment, and it's all done in the day.
It's absolutely crazy.
You know.
Degsy says, what a friend of the show, of course, says, Baz, I'm broken. I'm sitting here utterly bemused. Tell me of another football club who has performed so badly over so many years, yet fills our stadium week in, week out, followed by 4,000 people to every away game. Most clubs would be playing in front of a half-filled stadium. At the end of the game, we've been run by complete idiots. Then the Premier League have seen us and said, that's who we'll persecute. What happened to football and its club supporters? How can you be charged for the same thing twice, which you've already been found guilty for? Talk about double jeopardy. Please help. I can't take much more. It's difficult, Degs. You keep your head up. This is you know what the whole thing with this is, Degs, is it is a disgrace, and it's really bad for people's mental health. And they don't take that into account because it isn't something that is done very quickly. So they drag it out over a period of time. So you're left with... I said this at the time, you know what? Sean Dyche deserves credit for this. That he somehow got the players just trying to block that out.
Level-headed,
right?
yeah.
Now, okay, it's a job to them. And they will see it slightly different. They're not as emotionally involved.
I think Seamus might be.
Yeah, but most of them aren't as emotionally involved the way we are. Absolutely. They will go into work every day and they see that game and they play that game and that's the next thing. And you win, you lose, you're on for the next one. But for fans, it isn't.
No, that's
for fans, you drag it out because you're worried and it makes you feel sick and you're going, what's going on and what's happening here and what's happening there. And we're all so emotionally invested that we've forgotten that this should be a pastime. This should be something that we enjoy and we can't wait to go and watch and we get excited by. And yet, the Premier League is getting worse and worse. It's changing everything. You can't celebrate a goal. Villa fans yesterday celebrating a goal, knowing that in a minute, and then 5 minutes later, they finding out they hadn't.
It wasn't even a minute, was it? It was 4 minutes, whatever it was, yeah.
We scored a goal at Spurs. It was given. Next, you're in the away end. Everyone's kissing everyone.
Says, hang on a minute.
Hang on, they're checking it.
Checking what? Yeah.
Man City.
TCL.
Go to, and you just look and go, oh my God, they're squeezing every bit of joy out the game. And you hit the nail on the head before. We've got lawyers and KCs and other nonsense deciding what's going on away from football. Football's there, but we're going to influence that by doing stuff over it.
Yeah.
Where's the game gone? Where's the sport gone? Where's the thing that we all fell in love with and was like, can't wait to go to match? Who'd Everton gonna say? Or, if you're a fan of whatever other football club, who we after? Newcastle or Villa. Villa are in a title race. Oh, can we go and get that one play? And you're hearing your manager going, actually, we might have to sell Ollie Watkins. And you're going, what? We're trying to win the league, but we're trying to win the league. And you're just going, and now they've got to sell players to be compliant. What's going on? Like, what is going on? How are they allowing this to happen? Just, honestly,
there's so much that's implicit around it. Inevitably, when you do that mental bit, right,
oh my God.
You have to end up with a phrase, don't you? But you can't punish the fans. But some fans you can punish, but not others.
I hope you're not talking about my Dr. Pepper Zero being full fat, by the way.
Is it diety thing?
It's zero. It's better than diet. But anyway, carry on, John. Sorry, I just seen a comment there. Yeah, but you can't.
How many of us were bothered when Derby County fans were suffering like this?
Well, to be fair, I felt good. Well, my mate's a Derby County
my mate
season ticket holder.
Is a bit, he's going to love it if Forest get relegated because of a points deduction. But that's the tribalism bit.
No, I'll be honest. I couldn't believe they kept hitting them with it. It's like, how can you keep Wigan? But another one.
Same thing.
Sheffield,
just when they thought they'd rolled with the last punch, and they were now starting to look upwards, they hit them again. So Forest fans can look forward to, you're going to get done again next year.
Yeah, they're in trouble, aren't they?
No, they're not, because the rules are going to change.
The rules will change, yeah. Well, then we wouldn't get done, would we?
Yeah. Treacherous six. Gosh, Struth, Two of them are amongst those waiting to be done, aren't they? You think Chelsea must be on the line, and City we know is sometime next century that they're going to get hauled across the coals.
I don't know.
There's going to be asterisks all over the Premier League.
Yeah,
that league
it's all over
didn't
it
really count. That relegation.
I needed Dick L in the comments here early, didn't I? I'd have loved to have heard Dick's.
We've started early, so he'll turn up soon.
Well, he might. I mean, I'm going soon. I've got footy training. Got some real football training to go and do where there's no VAR and no bloody.
Bet you they dive though.
Corruption going on.
I bet you they dive.
Oh, they
have goal celebrations.
Yeah, but that's good. The diving's not. Bill says, if the appeal goes in our favour, does this second charge go away?
Potentially,
yeah, because it would alter our numbers.
And it would also potentially help Forest.
Yeah. But hey, listen, good for them, because they're trying to.
I bet you are KC and Forest. KC talk to each other quite a lot.
What are we saying? No, but it is nonsense, isn't it? It's absolute nonsense. You know what I mean? We're just trying to. It just, what annoys me is that, and again, it is the big thing, is like it is going to change. It's going to change in the summer.
But is it?
Well, so they've said.
I know they've said, but all those shareholders have to sign up to it, don't they?
Yeah, but I think they will, John.
But which shareholders are going to sign up? The ones who've just been relegated under the old rules? Or the ones who've just been promoted?
But I think most of them, when they only need, what is it? They only need 7, is it? To pass it?
No. They need a majority.
Yeah, but the majority's got to be 14, which is why the top 6 got the money. Because only 13 voted, so 7 went with the others, so they couldn't have the majority.
If the self-interested ones stick together and you can peel off one of the others, you're all right.
Okay, exactly. So that's what happened. But it is, it is crazy. It's crazy. And Philip says, Keys and Gray said yesterday, the Premier League are changing the rules in the summer, so Chelsea and City won't face any action.
That's not strictly true, but yeah. One could be sure.
Honestly.
Does anyone believe City are going to get done?
No, I really don't.
I don't, because why is it still 18 months away, or whatever it is?
It'll have changed, and it'll be something.
Well done, City and your lawyers.
Yeah, because they've just gone, what, you know, mate, I'll tell you when we come in front of you. You won't tell me, and it's probably what Everton should have said. Everton should have said, we don't recognise what you're doing, so we'll see you in a couple of years in court. And Everton should be looking to try, I know they might say you can't, but I'd be trying to take it to a European court and go, we're playing in a league which is they're just making things up now. See, you've got to try and raise the ante with it. But we'll see. I mean,
you have to go to a Premier League meeting
and cause a stir
with a story which would get popular support, i.e., points deduction is the wrong answer, so to speak. And then say the other 19 said go away, and then every other fan can say, well, you haven't got a leg to stand on if you ever get done, because your club voted in favour of this, and yet Everton probably voted in favour of some of the things that they might get hauled across the coals for.
Like, before I go, this is a really good one, and I think this is a dead important point that Darren makes. It's a disgrace that this was leaked last night by the Premier League.
Totally agree.
And this is a problem, isn't it? That journalists are getting it the day before Premier League going, we'll leak it.
Before the clubs.
You know, it's just. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. We've covered everything, haven't we? It's right now we have to just hope that Everton get their defence right. But I mean, you know, maybe they should get Dyche to sort it out. You know what I mean? Well, definitely we should go and get Mr. Bates. Get him to fight our corner. You know, Mr. Bates versus the Premier League. Then we'd have, you know, half a chance. But we'll have to get that right.
9 years.
Fans, it will, yeah. The fans will have to stick together.
That's the hard part.
You know, and Christopher Barry says, can we just please refer to Masters as Little Dicky Masters? That'd be a good one. Yeah, Little Dicky Masters.
There must be a graphic artist out there who could produce a graphic.
Definitely. Adam, mate, you've got to try and just stay relaxed over it. This stuff might not, you know, Everton, if they are successful in the appeal process and can argue some of the costings for the stadium are the way they were and were told, then, and the new independent commission, appeal commission, hear it and go, yeah, we'll accept that because you were allowed to. Then that means it alters all of our costings, which means that Everton would then comply, which means this will go away. So we've just got to back the team. The team's just got to keep adding points on the board and then just see.
There's a point there which perhaps we should bring out, which is...
Well, go on, give you the last thing because we're finishing now, John.
Okay.
So go on.
Is that, as far as I understand it, or Everton have admitted that when they fill their form in or whatever it is they do, that it ends up with a number, that says we've breached the rules again.
Yeah.
Premier League then spin that as both Forest and Everton have admitted guilt. But Everton have filled the form in because you have to.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they've filled it in on the basis, I suppose, that the worst case scenario. Because what you've just said is spot on. If the arguments stand true with the person who chairs the appeal, then we'll redo our form, won't we?
Yeah.
And then we won't be in breach potentially. So it's a technical thing today. We have to fill a form in, otherwise we're in breach of the rules.
Yeah.
When we fill the form in, what do we put on it when we got stuff subject to appeal? Let's put the worst case scenario in. That doesn't, what I've just said doesn't really apply to Nottingham Forest, but it does to Everton. But notwithstanding, if we get some things confirmed in our appeal, that might very well help Forest.
Is this why Paul Biesk is so adamant that we haven't reached it? Because actually it is because I've said that before, and that's what I think Henry Winter was picking up on was
It is, yeah.
the Premier League are very proudly saying that Everton and Nottingham Forest have admitted it.
Spin. That's
Clearly,
spin.
we are just filling in the numbers that we have to fill in.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
as it stands legally right now, that's what the it's not the law clearly, but that's what the Premier League Commission say is true. It might not be true,
Yep, true.
but that's what they're saying is true. That's their truth.
If we watch crime dramas which have, a court case in it, they always bring in expert witnesses, don't they? Yeah. Forensic whatevers, right? But not all experts have the same opinion.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
it's quite possible that exactly the same case in appeal for Everton with exactly the same evidence could result in a different outcome. Could. But actually, we've learned, haven't we? What happened the first time about how to present your case the second time.
Oh, yeah.
And what Paul is saying,
lawyer,
what Paul is saying is when you look at the restated accounts and the stuff all around the stadium, where interest should and shouldn't land and all those sorts of things, he's emphatically convinced, and call him an anorak if you like, but he'll have run.
That's what he's very good at.
He'll have run all the numbers and he says we're compliant.
Right, we'll be back, obviously, back at 1 o'clock tomorrow with more reaction to this. Make sure if you think Everton have been harshly done to, like and subscribe here. Also, I've put a link to More Than a Game channel. Go over and subscribe there as well. Thanks to everybody who joined us today. Hit that like button, and we will see you tomorrow at 1. Thanks for watching. See you later.
Take care.